Did you ever find yourself unable to get out of the victim mindset no matter how hard you try? Even, upon reading tons of books on personal development, even upon perhaps trying some psychedelics, or even upon having numerous therapy sessions. Or you may be frustrated by other people who are in the victim mindset and you just cannot understand how on earth can they be stuck in a complaining, bitching, and whining modus operandi. If so, this episode is going to be for you because I'm going to explain what are some of the payoffs of the victim mindset and why actually all of us get stuck into the victim mindset. Most of us who are hypersensitive and most of us who suffer from emotional dysregulation. So, first and foremost, I really want to highlight that complaining and perpetually being in a victim mindset oftentimes serves as a self regulation tactic uh, for those of us who are experiencing severe emotional dysregulation. When I'm talking about emotional dysregulation, I'm talking about an ability to healthily process emotions, especially unpleasant emotions such as rage, anger, jealousy, envy, and so on. So, while being in a victim mindset and complaining may seem negative or unproductive on the surface, it actually provides us with a feeling of relief, not permanent, of course, but temporary feeling of relief. It actually gives us a little bit of control. It provides us with a sense of control in challenging emotional situations. And I would like to present you with four distinctive ways, so four distinctive payoffs which come from being in a victim mindset and from complaining and blaming. So, first, and of course, why being in this behavior functions as a self regulation tactic. So, first is the expression of emotions. Sometimes complaining and being in a victim mindset is the only time when we are actually in touch with our negative emotions, which we were programmed to not pay attention to bury, and to just ignore as we were growing up. So, actually, when we're complaining, when we're in a victim mindset, it is the only way for us to release these pent up emotions and frustrations. In so many words, we're venting, and by venting our feelings, we temporarily reduce emotional tension, which leads us to experiencing a sense of relief. It's like when you inhale and you take a deep exhale, right? Because this act of expressing ourselves sometimes serves actually as a cathartic process and allows us to unload our emotional burden. Which brings me to payoff number two, validation and empathy. Two payoffs, but basically congruent into one. So, for those of us who struggle with emotional dysregulation, we also often struggle with managing our emotions effectively, which makes us feel isolated in our experiences because everybody keeps telling us that what we feel is too much, or that we should just calm down and we should just change our trajectory or of thoughts and whatnot. But actually engaging in complaining and perpetually stating how life is conspiring against us while giving solid proof for that is and can be, well, not always is, but can be an attempt to seek validation and get empathy from others. By vocalizing our grievances, we hope to find understanding and support, which would then, of course, help us to regulate our emotions by providing us with the sense of connection. This is especially applicable if we have been disconnected throughout our childhood or early adulthood, and if we in general have troubles with connecting with other people. Which leads me to the payoff of the victim mindset number three, gaining gaining a sense of self-control. Although it might seem counterintuitive, but actually in some cases, being in a state where things are happening against you is a way that we can regain a sense of control over our own circumstances. Because if I can contribute my struggles to the external factors, I get to alleviate the feeling of self blame or guilt, which of course is followed. It just goes, self blame and guilt go together like a peanut butter and jelly. So, by knowing it's not my responsibility, hence it's not my blame, guilt senses I'm sorry, it's not my responsibility, hence I am not the one to blame. This actually provides me with a temporary relief from those overwhelming emotions that I'm experiencing and that I'm unable to cope with. Which leads me to the payoff number four, generating attention and support. So, complaining and perpetually being in a victim mindset can oftentimes elicit attention and support from other people. Now, when we unconsciously seek this attention, we actually not only seek attention, we also seek a way to validate our emotions, way to validate our experiences, and sometimes even a way to validate our sanity. By receiving external validation, by getting this confirmation of others, oh my God, yes, you're going through so much. Oh my God, yes, it makes sense that you feel the way you feel. So by just receiving this external validation, we're more prone to regulate our emotional state because we get this reinforced notion of being heard, seen, understood, and which means that we're partly meeting our core need to belong, which is as important as food, shelter, water, you name it. So to recap, there are four paybacks of staying in the victim mindset. There are four actual paybacks of complaining. The first is the full expression of our emotions. The second is full expression of our emotions, which means emotionally unloading. Then the second is increasing the odds of gaining sympathy. The third is alleviating the feeling of self-blame. So actually having like a partial release through alleviating this feeling. And the fourth is generating support, which means partly meeting our core need to belong. Now, while these self-regulation tactics offer temporary relief, it is actually important to understand that they're not sustainable and they're just going to hinder our growth. Because if we rely solely on complaining and being in a victim mindset, we're taking our power away and it prevents us from actually developing healthier coping mechanisms, such as being in our body, such as fully expressing how we feel through plethora of exercises, screaming exercise, writing exercise, punching exercise. And it actually, this allows us to regain the actual true sense of stability. It is crucial for us who experience severe emotional dysregulation to seek professional help and to explore more effective strategies such as therapy, such as emotional regulation practices, and such as mostly really developing this growth mindset and understanding that while your emotions are real, the stories that drive them are most often not. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this one. I hope it was helpful.